In today's video, I show you how to strengthen those miter joints by building this spline jig. These are the parts we need to cut out at the table saw. I begin by cutting some maple for the miter bars. After I test fit, I notice it's a little tight. I use a block plane to make it a perfect fit. And now over at the table saw, I cut the rest of the pieces to size. Next up are the miter blocks. Since the pieces are small, I'm having to cut these at the bandsaw. I'm marking the center of them with my center finder. I'm using a sacrificial fence on my miter gauge with sandpaper to cut this in half. I've got to put a 45-degree cut on the board highlighted on the screen. Next up, we cut a slot for the aluminum T-track. The groove is a ½ inch deep, so I take this in 2 cuts at the router table. The T-track was a little long, so I used a hacksaw to cut its length. I used 3 screws to hold the T-track in. I temporarily attached the miter bars to the bottom base with glue. After the glue dries, I come back and draw a center line and then put in 3 screws in each miter bar. Now comes the fun part of attaching the miter blocks. I use some carpet tape to temporarily hold them into place. I flip them back over and mark a center line to let me know where I can put the screws. I use the same method for the other board. I use a flush trim saw to cut off the extra miter bar. To use this jig, you don't want to use your standard saw blade that has an ATB or an alternate top bevel grind to the blade. As you can see here, it leaves a kind of a triangle on the bottom of the groove. Instead, you want a blade that has a flat top. I'm using a box joint or a finger joint set of dado blades that have a flat top on them. And now it's time for a test run. I'm using a 1/4 inch dado stack. Once the glue dries, I use a flush trim saw to cut off the excess. This wasn't the funnest project, but it was definitely a jig that I needed, and I'm now glad that I have. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.